What is the truth about guilt and freedom and meditation? Tonight's lesson is drawn from the 58th verse of Yong-jig xuan-jue's The Song of Enlightenment. Let's chant together. Two monks were guilty of crime, so Gyatso parley with his firefly light. Layman Vimalakirti dismissed their doubts as the sun melts the snow. There is much Buddhist literature. In some of the oldest Buddhist literature, a dichotomy is inferred between Gautama, the Buddha, and his wicked cousin Devadatta. We could describe Devadatta as being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. These are the type of people who act as fearmongers and guilt-mongers, elated to deny the benefit of the doubt and happy to manipulate. But not everyone who denies the benefit of the doubt is malicious. Some are just lazy-minded, and they see no other way to force someone to do the right thing. So this whole rigid, fearful, controlling thing comes back to bite us in the ass, doesn't it? But not in the fun, tingly way. Fortunately, there are some people who follow in the Buddha's footsteps. Not in word, not in clothing, not in haircut, but in mind. And they are flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. These are the people who will give the benefit of the doubt. These are the people who are truly not just clever, but wise and help to liberate us from the unproductive tyranny of both guilt and fear. These are the nimble-minded who recognize the true source of ethics is not in fear-oriented regulation keeping, but in practicing mindfulness and meditation in such a way as to cause people to be led from the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived. And from this spontaneous love, and when people's choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, they become the heroes that their dogs already think they are. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Excuse me. This evening, let us play with the sadhana or practice text named Chenrezig's Zig's Easy Dzogchen. We'll begin by translating the mantra together. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni Wise One, Muni Wise One. Maha greatly wise one, Muni, yea, of the Shakya Soha, wishing enlightenment for all. It's just that simple. What is the enlightenment that we wish for all beings? Simply mastering the path of walking in the footsteps of the Buddha, applying his teachings, relying on his students. Excuse me, or in other words, mastering the Eightfold Path. This evening's first practice is known in Tibet as Lama Khenno. It translates into English as calling the teacher as from afar. What it really is not a superstitious incantation as much as a form of energy work that makes it possible for us to practice the Mahamudra of bliss and letting go. There are 3 Mahamudras. In addition to this, there is awareness, there is love and letting go, as well as awareness and letting go. Let us take a moment to understand this graphic. The historical Buddha represents our enlightened nature, specifically the fact that we have the neurological architecture required to practice effortless mindfulness, meditation, and empathy. This couple, sporting in tantric union, literally represents the teachings, figuratively represents energy. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite, Lama, come to this crown. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can as we chant this 12-syllable mantra. Now, there are going to be a series of 16 sets of 16 mantras. And I like to keep track of it on my left hand. So this is a good time as any to, what's the word I'm looking for? Share the secret of crease counting. Upon each finger, we can count 3 sets of creases and a tip for a total of 4, which we multiply by 4 to get 16. During each inhalation, we can advance our thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is, of course, sped up over several breaths. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So what I'm going to do is place my tip of my left thumb upon my left little finger and slide it down to the lowest set of creases. I'm now going to turn this hand palm up and place it on my left thigh. That's just a placeholder. On my right hand, I'm going to count 4 breaths. And during each breath, I'm going to count 4 mantras. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 Having trained in bliss and letting go, we now turn our attention towards awareness and letting go. Most children's first bicycle has training wheels, which, although clunky, get the job done. Similarly, this evening, our first meditation is going to be ungainly. How are we going to practice sati passaddhi? simple. As we inhale, we're going to silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And as we exhale, we're going to silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Whoops, that's bizarro. Let's close that. Okay. Let us now practice the outer preliminary practices, or xuan-jue. So far, we've worked with bliss and letting go and awareness and letting go, and now we begin working with love and letting go. We begin by noticing others' stress. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 May I use cause and effect in the benefit of all. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 In change, may I see the folly of clinging. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 May make the most of these opportunities. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 We return. Now it's time. Now we shall remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, thus reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. During our inhalation, let's silently and mentally recite sitting tall, choosing to generate a vertical traction between our tuchus and our head. During our exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite relaxing. We continue with our inner preliminary, or ngondro. Let us lovingly wish to free all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and confusion. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 Well, how are we going to manage that? By relying upon the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 Everybody makes mistakes, few learn from them. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 We long to share all we have. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 Let us practice jhanas, mindfulness and meditation, the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, by simply silently and mentally reciting "Notice this" during each inhalation, and by silently and mentally reciting "Relaxing" during each exhalation. Let us return to bliss and letting go through the practice of Guru Yoga, which is also known as Lama Najor. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 Now let us remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. How are we going to practice the Great Seal? It's simple. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. We return now to love and letting go. Let's bring the experience of the 4 bases of mindfulness, the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental, into the conventional path of love and letting go, where love is emphasized. So here's the basic pattern. We're going to start with a loving wish, and then we're going to chant verbally. Then we're going to silently and mentally recite a rather concise version of the same wish. You will notice that this wish is full of figures of speech, some simile and some metaphor. And while some people who are rigid-minded find this confusing, we persist with figures of speech because our brains evolved to think symbolically. And one of the most efficient ways of addressing the deep inner recesses of the human mind is through simile, and metaphor together. May all minds of all beings now be as peacefully wise as the mind of a Buddha of law, symbolized by a tikle, one syllable seed or bija mantra. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 So this is going to sound surprising, but it's not our job to be Gandalf the Grey. It's not our job to do magic or to visualize or to emote or even believe. What then is our job? To silently and mentally play with these words in harmony with our breath and our recitation, to exercise the neural pathways responsible for love. And now that we reached the contemplative cruising altitude, I invite you to join me to meditate as transformatively as Yoda on Dagobah under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. Together. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddhist communication symbolized by this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a Yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment such as Shakyamuni. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the good fortune or boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Ati. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 And now let us rest in Mahasandhi. Again, let us bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where letting go is emphasized. If you've just joined me this evening, welcome aboard. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please don't wait until the end of the live stream. By then, my brain will have been turned into chocolate pudding. So strike while the iron is hot for both our sakes. How is it that as we inhale, all lots of circumstances could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable of what is a real or imagined paradise or vati of lights. So this, quite clearly, is one big, huge rhetorical question. Now we're going to silently and mentally recite a rather concise version of the same question. During our inhalation, during our exhalation, we choose to physically relax as best we can during the mantra recitation. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Soha. 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 How is it that as we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or what is a real or imagined archetypal of light. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Soha. 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 How is it that as we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable or what is a real or imagined mantra of light. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Soha. 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 How is it that as we inhale, we could notice all minds, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or what is a real or imagined bija seed syllable of light. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Soha. 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 Let us rest in Hatha Yoga's utmost union of mindfulness and meditation. As we breathe in, let's silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, thus effortlessly exercising mindfulness. And as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax, that we might practice effortless meditation. Let us transcend the vertical duality of samsara and nirvana by metaphorically inviting all the real or imagined Buddhas, their paradises, and their denizens to dwell in the 84,000 pores of our skin, thus practicing the body mandala of duality's awareness and non-duality's release. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 Let us bring the horizontal duality of us and them into the dance of impermanence and interdependence, known as the yoga of inconceivability, where we transcend our self-centeredness in the most ironic of manners. What could it look like if all circumstances or lots was fully and impermanently melted into a rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this body or form? Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 What could it feel like if all forms of bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this communication or speech? Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech was footy and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesoha. 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 Om Muni Muni. Oopsie, my mistake. Let's continue. What could it be like if all minds was footy and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into our vast empty void? Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although tantalizing to the eye could be not graspable to the hand. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesoha. 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 Now let us rest in Trekshow's slice through the duality of hope and fear. Let's seal this practice with the love that wishes for the universal mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 May all master kind communication, conduct, and commerce. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 May all master the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 May all master mindfulness and meditation. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesoha. 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 If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.